How are you guys? All right, so today we have an interesting topic, but it is a topic that I've talked about many times in the past. Okay, but I think that we're always building and learning in reference to them, and I'm realizing more and more how if they are not implemented in the right way, how it's affecting kids. So we're going to talk about that today. So before I get started, I'm going to let people hop on for a second. Make sure you guys say hello. And I haven't forgot about you, Christina. I just got crazy and took Sky for a haircut and all that kind of stuff. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Raven Woods, and I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks IEP, and I help parents gain the knowledge and the confidence to become the CEO of their IEP meeting. That's my goal. So post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie like Christina. Okay, so a 1 below if it's your first through third time, you only get 3 times, okay? And a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. I want you to join the group if you're interested. It's a private group. You can just stick in the search bar Autism Mama Rocks IEP group if you're interested. And it's a great group with amazing women, and it's just a good place to be able to talk with each other and get each other's advice and all of that fun stuff. So getting started, I really wanted to welcome Erin. Welcome Irene. Hi Missy. Hi Kim. Hi Wendy. All right. Hey Susan. All right. So I'm going to just get to talking about this because it's important, and I wrote this up and I'm tempted to give it out to you guys. I wrote this up kind of like my little paper of all the things that I just always keep with me, and things that when something comes to my brain of adding to, I always do that. And I have so much paperwork. Like I have a client who said I could share it, so I'm going to be sharing part of this with you. This is her child's IEP and BIP. It's going to actually be for a lot of my students who are coming into the present levels and goals mastermind course that's out now. So don't forget to grab that, because there's only, I think now, 20 something spots. They're going really quick. And it's basically an opportunity to get like a one-on-one with me. So it's pretty fun, and you'll be able to get your child's IEP really in a great spot, so to speak, just by understanding what present levels are, where they come from, how to write them, and then how you transfer that into your goals, and then how to write them, and the rest is history. And your services, accommodations, and modifications come from present levels too. But moving on, so what's a behavior intervention plan? All right, you guys are more than welcome to contribute here. I always like that. It's a little different here on the page, I will say though, because my group, they're crazy involved. But here on the page, it's different. You guys don't know me like that yet. So definitely hop over to the group. But make sure to post a 1 below if you're new, first through third time catching me live, and a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie, okay? So a behavior plan is simply a plan designed in order to meet your child's needs in regards to behaviors. Okay, so that's really what it is in layman's terms, okay? The official verbiage in regards to a BIP is basically how it looks into every instance of behaviors specifically to that child, and some of the different ways BIPs can be established. A lot of people think that BIPs are established because your kid's bad. They're not bad, okay? They have issues. All right, we all do. And they have concerns and specific needs that need addressed. Okay? So when you look at that, you look at, different things that are going to affect them in the educational setting. For example, it could be simply using inappropriate language at school. You can have a BIP for that. All right? Now, there are ways to incorporate goals into the IEP without a BIP for such things like that, and if it's minimal. But it is wise to at least have an FBA, which is the functional behavior analysis, to review that child, to observe that child, and hopefully a BCBA does that, and they're able to really go into depth as to really, is that the only concern, or is there more, and is there things that is triggering that child? Okay. So it can be for them refusing to do classwork. It can be for them, being withdrawn and unresponsive. It can be for more serious behavior issues. It can be for multiple behavior issues and not just one or two. It can be for aggressive behavior. Many different behaviors, okay, can be put into a BIP. Actually, any behavior can, okay? Now, the necessity of it is when that behavior starts to really affect that education and that student's education. But here's the thing. In my mind, let me know what you all think. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Jessica. Hi, how are you? Hi, Lorena. Hi, Kristen. So here's what I think. I think that when we address those needs, the minute they come, kind of like communication, the minute you address something, I'll message you, Nicole. If you want, I'll post the link in just a second, okay? Hold on. I'll do it really quick for you. So while I'm posting this for Nicole, in my mind, all right, just my crazy analytical mind, I believe that when we address something, when it's small, it doesn't always get big. Does that make sense? That's really putting it in a very short and straightforward way. If we address things when they're lower intensity, when they're not as heightened, when they're just beginning, and really honing in on them and focusing on them versus ignoring them because they're minor things, I think we would be a lot more ahead of the game. But there's a gap there in why things aren't being addressed at that point. My question, because I always ask questions, you know me, I don't even respond with a comment. I respond with a question. My question is, why aren't they addressed at that small state? Why aren't behaviors addressed when they're so small that if we addressed them, possibly a BIP wouldn't even be needed, or if a BIP is in place, those small issues are replaced with positive behavior strategies that are taught to that child so those behaviors don't get worse. Just my thoughts. What do you guys think? Now let me get this to you, Nicole. Hold on. So that's just my thought process with that. I think that, I think that if we focus on things like that, I don't know if I can find it real quick yet, Nicole. Hold on. I have so much stuff here. Okay. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Okay, I posted it, Nicole. I think I posted it. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so that's my thought process when it comes to addressing things. Address them when they're not that big, and then they're not going to get that big because we addressed it when it was small. Okay? Then it doesn't impact that child's behavior in such a substantial way to the point where it can get out of hand. All right? So how does a behavior plan work? All right? I'm just going to tell you how I know what it is versus just looking at my form. All right? A behavior plan works in a way that is focused on the child, their specific needs, and what is needed and appropriate for them. So hypothetically, they have behaviors that are disruptive in the classroom. They're banging their desk, they're making noises, they're breaking pencils, just different things like that. Okay? So then a behavior plan would go in place to address the ABCs. All right? So that's the antecedent, the behavior, and the consequence. The whole purpose of a behavior plan is to introduce ways for that child to replace that negative behavior. All right. Many times I will look at BIPs and they do not address what is going to be taught to that child to replace the negative behavior. A lot of times I'll see the ABCs, but they're very vague and they don't go into detail as to what the antecedent is. And the antecedent is one of the most important parts. The antecedent, for those of you who may not know what that is, because it's a completely foreign type word, is what's happening before that behavior starts. What is causing that behavior? There's so many questions that go into the antecedent, all right, that a behavior therapist and behaviorist should be the one observing and addressing that issue, okay? I have to say, I don't like it when psychologists or anybody else does BCBAs. That's just my personal preference. I always go straight for who's the most qualified. The most qualified person to do a FBA and a BIP is a behaviorist, a BCBA, a board certified behavior analyst. All right. And you have a right to ask for that person to be the one to do the FBA. You do have that right, and you can request that. And you can even argue the fact of why that's the person who needs to be doing the BIP. All right. Especially if you have a BIP and it's not working, which a lot of them don't. I have a parent that her son was, she was called because her son was acting out of hand, but they did nothing in regards to going through the BIP. And guess what? There's no de-escalation plan in the BIP. So what's really going to happen? What is it they're going to go through? Because there's no de-escalation plan. So there's no, okay, the student's at this heightened state. What do? We got to call mom. So instead of having a list of things from highest, most important, down to the very lowest, of what are we going to do? Do we take them out of the room and take a walk? Do we put a weighted blanket on them? It can be anything you possibly can think of in regards to de-escalating that behavior, all right? Basically, the whole point of a de-escalation plan is not to introduce or teach. It's to de-escalate. Completely one thing, to de-escalate that child from the heightened state and to end it, okay? To get them calmed down and relaxed and at a point where they can get back to learning again. That's all a de-escalation plan is, and to avoid safety issues and so on and so forth, okay? But a de-escalation plan, we're kind of getting ahead of the game, but a de-escalation plan is something that must be in every IEP and should be for each and every behavior, specifically behaviors that are more serious, okay? Or behaviors that just keep going and going and going, like the Energizer Bunny, all right? So you have behaviors that just, they're not ending. They're not stopping. Nothing's working, so there's plans that can go in place for that. All right? So a BIP itself describes the behavior being targeted as well as supposed reason the behavior occurs, okay? So that's another thing that has to be in the BIP is the target behavior. What is the behavior? Okay, so that's what it is. All right, so if you just imagine something saying 1 through 10, all right, 1B breaking pencils, and this is just breaking it down for you because I know, BIPs can be really confusing, all right? So I'm looking at one now, and it's just, they're written weird. They don't make sense, I know how to read them, but it's just a little bit frustrating when you're looking at them and they just are not making full sense. Does that make sense? And you're just trying to say, okay, well, what does that mean? Like, what is that saying? I'm not following, And some of them, to be quite honest, are very short and not to the point, all right? They should be very clear and detailed. It's not about how long they are. It's about how detailed and clear they are, okay? So when you look at the target behavior, each target behavior has to have the ABCs, all right? In my opinion, all right? In regards to most states' rules and regulations, it is really specific now on how BIPs need to be written because a lot of them aren't working, and everybody's wondering, well, why aren't these BIPs working? And it's because they're not written appropriately. Nobody knows how to read them. And so you have this BIP in place that's supposed to be attached. It is attached, all right, just not stapled to your IEP. So in your IEP, it should say, see student's BIP or student has a BIP, so on and so forth. And so then there's this BIP and nobody really reads it. Nobody has copies of it. Nobody's really looking at it. And then when something happens and possibly a parent brings it up, then, all of a sudden it's not working. So who is responsible for this plan? Who's responsible for implementing this plan? So number one, it's not so much of a who as in an individual. It's everybody that works, same with the IEP, everybody that works with your child, that has access to your child, that works one-on-one with your child, that works in group settings with your child, is supposed to be privy and have copies of the IEP and BIP. Okay? They have to have copies. What baffles me is I have in my own IEPs in the past have said, have you read my daughter's IEP? And they'll say yes. What else are they going to say, right? No. They'll say yes. I'll say, well, then you should know that XYZ is said in there. Why haven't you done it? So even though they said yes and were full of you know what, I still caught them by saying, well, if you read it, why didn't you do it? Okay? So that's the problem we're seeing, is they're saying, oh yeah, we've received it. We have the IEP. We got this. We have the BIP. We know what we're doing, and then they're not implemented. And in all honesty, answer this question for yourself. You don't have to tell me, but just tell me. How do you know the BIP is being implemented? How do you know? What makes you confident as a parent that your child's BIP or even IEP is being implemented? How do you know? Just wondering. Ask yourself that question. If you can't answer it, all right, make sure you make the decision to make that change today. That you will no longer not know who is supposed to be implementing, and if it's not being implemented, you need to know about it. So how do you do that? How do you do that? Right now, it's very difficult, I will say, because of COVID. All right, because normally what I teach my parents is what's called the hunt and gather. I love the hunt and gather, by the way. So the hunt and gather is where you're hunting down information and gathering information and creating the case that you need in order to argue. And I say argue, it probably comes out wrong, but it's really advocate for your child. It's really arguing, to be honest. I mean, we all talk about advocating, but in all honesty, we're arguing. We are arguing because there's no advocating that goes across. I mean, you can't advocate and then just be like, oh yeah, not a problem. Sure. Let's do that. If it was that easy, none of us would be here today. But it is arguing, Sometimes arguing is healthy. Sometimes arguing is good. Guess what? Arguing and communicating and not always agreeing and coming to some sort of happy place that obviously in this situation is going to benefit the child, that is healthy. Now, attacking someone or something like that, that's different. But being a little bit aggressive and definitely assertive, not going to hurt anybody. So make sure you know who is supposed to be following that IEP and BIP and who it is you need to be holding accountable. So here's what I would start with before I continue. Send an email. Send an email to each and every teacher separately, okay? To each and every teacher, to each and every service provider, to the principal. You don't have to, me, I always say director of special ed. You don't have to add them to this. And find out, say, hey, I just wanted to, touch base and say hello and find out, do you have a copy of my child's IEP and BIP? Just ask them, just like that. And just innocently, do you have a copy of my child's IEP and BIP? That's it. Then see what they say. Then come back and say, okay, yes or no. We'll have another conversation about this. And then I'll tell you what to say next. All right? But you should definitely ask that. Do you have a copy of my child's IEP and BIP? All right? And then when they come back, I'm curious what they're going to say. If everybody, service providers and everybody says yes, Then I'm going to ask you to ask them something else, okay, in order to know if they're possibly following it. Now, when you can go into the school, then you need to go into the school, all right? Sporadic times, different times of the day, and so on and so forth. And then you're catching a bit of the morning. One day you're catching a little bit of the evening, in the afternoon. Sometimes you're catching lunch, that sort of thing. And you're going in sporadically, like once a week. And you're watching and listening. And you're gathering. All right? So you're there hunting. And you're gathering by your ears and your eyes. All right? So that's part of the hunt and gather. Okay. So, number one, in order to create a really good BIP, all right, these are my kind of top 11. I couldn't stop at 10. Sorry. I'm an even number person and I couldn't do it. All right. So the first thing is baseline data. All right. That's the first thing that needs to go into your IEP is baseline data. Where do you get that? From the FBA. It literally needs to be copied over. That's it. All right. Baseline data. You have to have a baseline in order to figure out where that child is. All right. You have to know what's going on. Okay. That is causing and having you to have a BIP. All right. The next thing is the frequency of when the problem behavior occurs. That has to be in the BIP. How frequent is it? How much does it happen? How many times of a day during the day? How many times during the day? All right, that's important, okay? Number 3, include a description of the setting in which the behavior occurs. So that is, it can be a physical setting. What time of the day is it? Is it in PE? Is it in the gen ed classroom? Is it in the SPED classroom? Is it in the hallway? All right? And then try to figure out, you don't have to figure it, but it needs to be figured out what time of day. All right? So the next thing, and number 10 is where you're going to find that information. So hang on. So number 4 is teach reinforcement positive behaviors. I'm going to get to y'all's questions in just a minute. So keep posting them, okay? And if you're just joining, post a 1 below. If it's your first through third time catching me live, post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie, okay? Post your questions. I'll get to them as soon as I'm done. So number 4 is teach and reinforce positive behavior. All right. So you're basically saying here, what I'm basically saying here is the whole purpose of a BIP, okay, is to teach that child behaviors that are going to replace that negative behavior. The whole reason, one of the whole reasons, if there's several, of why they have a BIP. So the only way for that to change is to teach them other behaviors. All right? Here's where a misconception is, where you'll see that in your IEP, but possibly not this one, is it will say they are reinforced, okay, with positive behavior, acknowledgement, and so on and so forth. So if they do something good, then yes, that's an awesome job, good job, thank you so much. You're such, and then they do things like rewards, okay? Some rewards work for kids, some don't at all right? But, you got to figure out what makes a child tick. That can be a reward. They do something good. Good job, Johnny. I'm so happy. Now you get a 5-minute break and you get to play with your G.I. Joe or whatever. Look, I'm going back into the day with G.I. Joes. They're not even existing anymore, are they? That shows you how old I am. All right. So then he's given positive reinforcement. He's given a break and a reward. Okay. But that's not teaching him anything. That's praising him, which is a must, for what he did right. But it's not praising him in a way that is going to change or doing something that is going to change the behavior. Does that make sense? So when you teach a replacement behavior, you're teaching a way in which that child can take breaking pencils, pounding on desks, making loud noises, etc., and giving them a different type of behavior that they still can do. That's just not as disruptive or as distracting to all the other children, to themselves, and so forth. Positive reinforcement is more, if you do this, this will happen. All right? There's always a if then, if then, if then. Okay? If you do this, then this will happen. If you do this, this will happen. And that's very much a part of the BIP. But positive reinforcement and teaching replacement behaviors, positive, replacement behaviors, are two separate things. All right? The next one is decrease future occurrences of the target behavior. All right? So you want to make sure that these positive reinforcements, positive reinforcements are working, all right? That you're giving the student what it is that makes them tick. You're giving them other ways in which to change that behavior, to replace it, all right? And then the goal is to decrease the behavior and keep lowering it, okay? Number 6, address any repeated episodes of target behavior. So what that means is there may need to be another plan of action in place. If a behavior is not getting better, if a behavior is continuing and continuous and does not stop and is very repetitive, then what it is that is in that BIP that is hopefully being implemented with fidelity is not working. So a BIP, like an IEP, and unfortunately what happens with IEP happens the same with the BIP, but the problem is if it's not addressed immediately, the behavior is just going to keep happening and there's going to be no resolve. And then it's the question of what's the point of the BIP? Why are you going to have a BIP in place that you're not going to implement with fidelity and you're not going to go back to the table and have it addressed, or them bring you back to the table to have it addressed, and a BIP come back into play to observe, to address the situation, to then change up the plan of action for that student? I know that was probably confusing. Sorry. But that's what has to happen. You have to go back to the darn table. You have to go talk about what is not working. If they're calling you every day, and I know this may not be happening right now with, home and that sort of thing, but did you know if your child has a BIP that still has to be implemented, even virtually? But bottom line, if it's not working, fix it. Same with the IEP. Why aren't you getting phone calls saying, hey, your child's not making progress? This goal is most likely not appropriate. Whatever the case may be that is going to make you mad because something's going wrong with your IEP and your child's not making progress, et cetera, you know the drill. Why aren't they coming to you? Why are you finding out maybe months later or a year later? Okay, so number 7. Identify the student's appropriate behaviors and strengths. So that has to be in the BIP too, just like your present levels, okay? So, and those of you who asked, I posted the link to the present levels and goals mastermind that is selling out. The link is there. I'll post it again at the end. But it's really your opportunity to have a one-on-one with me, just not at the price of a one-on-one with me. So real quick, you'll learn all about present levels, where they come from, how to write them yourselves, how to get them the most accurate as possible, like at 110%. And then that's how you create your goals and your services in your IEP. Exactly. Okay, to a T. And so then I teach you how to write the right goals, and then obviously services are just going to come to you because you're going to know, hands down. So it's going to be an amazing course. It's one day that you have to set aside that's going to change a lot of the stress in your life right now. All right. So with that aside, number 8 is a critical component of the intervention plan is the pattern of reinforcement for using the appropriate replacement behavior that the IEP team devises. All right. So what that means is what part of the intervention, all right, is going to be the reinforcement, and what part of the intervention is going to be the replacement. Just like I was talking about a little bit ago. So you have the reinforcement, which it comes with the positive and verbal positive. Totally lost me. Okay, so there's positive and negative reinforcement. All right, so negative is that is bad. Okay, positive is that is really good, Sebastian. I'm so happy you did it like that. Look at your writing. You did a really good job. That is awesome. And I go on and on and on and on because I want them to feel like, wow, I just did something really good, you know? And the negative, unless it is self-harming or harming to others, ignore it. Ignore it. That is the worst punishment ever, okay? Because a lot of these behaviors, not all of them, but a lot of them are attention-seeking behaviors. So a lot of our kids will want attention, just not know how to go about it in the right way. And so they'll do different things that are not exactly appropriate, and it's more in line with negativity and not such a great way to act. And so the positive reinforcement is not there, okay? No acknowledgement should even be over there. You know, a lot of people will react to the negative and will say, no, we don't do that. But in all honesty, what's that going to do? You know, now, normally we'll say, we don't do that. That's not nice, da, 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 right? But, and depending on the child's age. But if we're working one-to-one with a child and they didn't do anything that's harming or self-harming, and they're breaking a pencil, we're going to take that pencil, okay? We will take it. This is a pen, but we're going to take it. All right, we're going to put it down somewhere else, but we're not going to say anything. We're just going to take that pencil and move it somewhere else. So we're removing the negative behavior out of their hands, but we're not going to say anything. Okay, but the positive behavior is just go above and beyond so that they feel awesome. Okay, so and a lot of times that will work, but that's just an example. That's just one example. All right. So basically that is a pattern of reinforcement. All right. You're reinforcing positive behavior, not so much the negative behavior. All right. So the pattern of appropriate replacement. Okay. So don't get them confused. The pattern of appropriate replacement is what are you going to offer? All right. Look at it like this. Here's a good analogy. So have you ever seen that book, what is it, where eat this, not that, or some crap, where it's like, don't eat the hamburger, but eat the veggie burger. You know what I'm talking about? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Or eat the, I don't know, what does it say? Eat this sweet potato fries instead of French fries. You know, that analogy and that thought process is the way you want to look at this. All right. So you're giving them more appropriate instead of like, you know, the right food. All right. Instead of eating this, here, eat this. Instead of doing this, you're going to do this. All right. So instead of breaking pencils and banging on desks, you're going to have a squeezy ball and have a squishy. I like those things. You know that you can squish in your hands or whatever it is that they like. Sensory based, if it's sensory based, whatever works. I don't care what you guys use. All right. As long as it still encourages them to do work, but gives them that outlet. Okay. To replace breaking pencils. So if they have something in their hands, they're not breaking pencils. All right. If they have something in their hands, they're not banging on desks. And a squeezy ball or anything else, okay, that they can hold, that they can touch, whatever, is going to replace any of those behaviors. So you have to think like the behavior. If they're doing this, okay, if I give them this, will this replace that in a positive way and remove that behavior? And the better thing is, like I said, if they have stuff in their hands, they can't be banging and breaking, right? So you want that replacement behavior to be a behavior that almost does not even allow them to do the negative behavior. So if they're smart about it, that's how they'll look at it and how they'll write it and how the BIP will be created. They have to be open to thinking outside of the box, and having different ideas and fun things that can actually replace negative behaviors. I always think of the most quirkiest, stupidest, craziest things, in regards to Skylar, to put in her BIP. But guess what? It works. And she almost has slim to none behaviors anymore. She has a behavior of when she gets home from Linda Mood Bell every day, she has to go upstairs and she has a meltdown, and like cry. It's not really crying, but it's, she's crying, I guess. And it's like 5-10 minutes and then she's done. It's like that release and then she's done. But that's not a behavior, a negative behavior that I don't like, but it's not a behavior that's affecting anything. All right? It's something she needs to do to release. All right? So that's not a behavior. But had she done that in school, then it would be a behavior that causes issues with learning. But because she does it at home, she actually holds it in and then releases at home. But the ones that can't do that are the ones, and she did not do that before. She did self-inflicting behavior. She's never hit anybody else or touched anybody else, but she's done self-inflicting behaviors to herself. She said, she has in her, I'll have to get her BIP out one time. She has almost 20 different behaviors. And they have dwindled down, all right? But she had a solid BIP. And we're getting to number 10, so I'm going to get there. So the next one. So you understand the difference between replacement and reinforcement. Okay? So the next thing, keep posting questions, guys. I got you. Is replacement behaviors taught and listed to replace the negative behaviors. So I keep talking about this. Why do you think I'm talking about replacement behaviors so much? Why have a BIP if you're not going to give them an alternative? They don't know. That's why they're doing the negative behavior. All right? And even if they did know, they're not in control of that at the moment. So you have to kind of get in there and make sure that that replacement behavior is being taught. Not just shown, not just told, taught. Really taught. Okay? And this is how, teachers and educators and service providers and so forth. So if you're listening, here's a tip for you, if you're open to it, from another teacher, is the more crazier and animated I got, the better. All right? And that's just a kid thing, They will some of them will be like, what? And then some of them love it because you're just so animated, they can't not look at you, So if you're teaching in a way that's fun and encouraging, they're going to learn, But if you're talking like this and you're not giving them positive reinforcement and you're saying, good job, Sebastian, that's awesome, and not like, that's a great job, wow, look at that. Do you see the difference? And kids see the difference there. And so that's what needs to be implemented. Because if you want change, you got to change you to be able to teach that child to change. All right? So if what you're doing, how you're teaching, isn't working, change how you're teaching. Okay? All right. Number 10 is number 1, other than all of that other stuff. Number 10 is weekly data. All right? So in written form and then transferred to graphical form. Behavior must be put into graphs. And I'll tell you why. When you have weekly data and it comes home to you and you get this written foreign stuff. Okay, Sebastian did this and he threw the pencil and he acted like this and he didn't do this like this. And, we tried to do this and it didn't work. And then we tried to do this and it didn't work. No, that's not what I want to hear. I don't care, to be honest. What I care about is, okay, let's just go back to the behavior I said. Breaking pencils and pounding on desks. All right, so you create a graph. I'm just going to make this like fake graph for you. All right. All right, so you have dates. All right, then here is the behavior. All right. And then you have where it goes up and down and all around. And then you have numbers here. All right. I'm going to show you in just a second. All right. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. Okay. All right. So, all right. So, okay, let me make it better. All right. So, like, I don't know. You guys know what I'm saying. All right. So, here's going to be dates. Okay. February 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. All right. Then you have numbers. All right. Of how high and low kind of thing. And then you have, this is the behavior. All right. Of how it spiked. So, like Monday, it's high, and then it goes back down, and then it goes back up in the middle of the week. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay, I suck at drawing, but whatever, okay? So, bottom line, you see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all right? And then you have the behavior. You know what the behavior is, pounding desks and breaking pencils. And then you see how much is that child doing it on Monday. And then how much are they doing it Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. You're going to know, hands down, if that replacement behavior is working or if that BIP has even been implemented. If you get graphical data like that with the written data from the implementation of the BIP, which is every day, all day, data should be taken every day, all day for BIPs. Every day, all day. Okay? BIPs are not like IEPs. You work on math. Okay, we take that. We work on reading, we take data. Data associated with everything IEP and BIP. Data, 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 data. Not the written crap on progress reports that's provided to you on a quarterly basis that says, here's the goal. Sebastian's making great progress towards this goal. Did that tell you anything? No. So, I want to know Monday, how did my child do? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then, you're able to look back. And you're able to say, okay, so in January, Sebastian's behavior was horrible. What was going on? Because in February, it went way down. So for me, again, my crazy thought process and the way I am, the first thing I'm going to do is, what happened in January that didn't happen in February? Okay? I want to know why. Even though February's here and he did great, I still want to know what happened in January so that does not happen again. Do you understand? So if, for example, if you look at 1 week and then the next week spikes from the original first week. Why did it spike? Don't not ask questions, guys. Why did it spike? What happened? What was going on that week? What were the teachers doing? Was there a new teacher in the class? Was there a new student in the class? Where was the child that week? Where did they go? Did they have music? Did they have PE? Did they have recess? What happened at recess? What did they play with? Keep asking questions. Get to the bottom of it. There was a reason why 1 week was great and 1 week was not. When you find out that trigger, you're able to resolve it and keep moving. All right, so when you resolve something, then you can keep moving and go on to the next thing and start knocking out those behaviors. But you can't knock out behaviors you don't know where they started. What triggered them? So if you don't find out the why, you're not going to resolve. You got to know why it's happening. Okay? So if you have a child, let's just take a typical child. Take you or I. Say we're depressed, all right? We're crying all the time. We can't figure out what's wrong with us. You know, we're just not ourselves, right? Well, if we can't find out why, then what do? We go to the doctor, we go to counseling, or whatever it is we do, right? Because we want to find out, why are we feeling like this? This sucks. Why are we feeling like this? You know? Well, the same thing for the kids. We got to find out why they're acting the way they are, all right? We can't just blame autism or blame ADHD. All right? These kids have things that happen in their life and in school that is going to trigger them and that is going to enhance their disability. All right? You can't always blame it on the disability. Sometimes it's the surroundings. Sometimes it's somebody. All right? I'll never forget Skylar coming home for almost a month, terrorized. She was young. She was still in elementary school. Terrorized. The child was terrorized. She would come home and scream and really cry. And I knew as a mom that something was wrong. And it's kind of, it was scary. And I kept emailing and asking what's going on. And, it ended up being a bus issue. And anyway, it was handled. But bottom line, there was a reason for her acting like that. It's not always just the disability. Okay? So don't rule out other things. Don't just think, oh, well, Sebastian's, always like that. So it is what it is. Don't think that way, because something is triggering that child, more than likely, if things continue to enhance or not get better. And why have a BIP if they're not getting any better? Why have an IEP if they're not making progress? What is the point? I'm big on that. What is the damn point of having a BIP or an IEP and going through all the freaking stress of having them and getting them for our kids if we're not going to ensure that they make progress, if we're not going to make sure that their behaviors are replaced with positive behaviors? That's the whole point, okay? That doesn't mean it's going to happen right away. That doesn't mean that you have the, magical powers to fix it immediately. But the more questions you ask, the more adamant you are, the more emphasis you put into your questions, and don't back down. I was telling someone the other day, I'm really not that great, okay? I am not that great of an advocate. I'm just going to tell you guys that, all right? I'm saying I know I'm good at what I do, okay? I know that. But let me tell you a secret, all right? Yes, I know my stuff. Yes, I'm good at what I do. But one of the main reasons I'm good at what I do and I'm no different than you is because I don't stop. I am that, I don't know, what do you want to call it? I don't know, I can't think of an analogy right now, but I am that person that is stuck on your ass and will not get off. I'm like fat. That's right. I got lots of fat, all right? All right? That I wish I didn't have. But bottom line, all right, we all, want to lose some weight or, whatever the case may be. Us women, we're never happy with whatever it is, I'm always trying to do something, but it's, that 10 pounds seems to always want to stick on my butt, all right? So that is how I am with the IEP. I know that was probably a bad analogy, but whatever. Literally, I don't let off, all right? If I am in an IEP, let's just say I'm in an IEP, all right? I ask a question after a question, and I already know a lot of the response. Sometimes I'll listen, just to hear what they have to say. But let me tell you, this sounds crazy. But when they answer questions, my mind is constantly putting the answers in pockets. All right? And I'm looking at, okay, pocket number 1. What am I addressing here? And how did they respond? Did they respond in an appropriate way that's actually beneficial to the child? Pocket 2. Did they not respond in a positive way and in a way that isn't beneficial to the child and it was actually a little bit ignorant? Or did they completely go into left field, all right, and go against and ignore what I was saying because they chose to ignore it and talk about something else? Let me give you an example. All right, I was in an IEP the other day. I think I told you about this situation. When I started crying the other day. You know what? That was on my group, all right? Started bawling, literally. Go watch it. Actually, don't go watch it. So I was in an IEP in regards to a child and his reading, 5 years behind, and long story short, the school, I kept saying the child needs intervention in math and reading, working memory issues. What is working memory? It's written expression, math and reading difficulty. And the student was not making progress. He was 5 years behind. The school system, I finally said, he needs intervention. I asked the math teacher. She said, yeah, he needs to start with, going back to the basics, just like I suggested. And he needs intervention. And then, I tried to address the fact that he needs intervention in reading as well. The child's 5 years behind. What the hell is wrong with you people? And then, all of a sudden, the teacher says, oh, well, I'm certified in direct instruction and, I can provide XYZ. Okay, so then I said to her, okay, so you won't mind showing me your certification. So then she proceeds to get, and I'm doing this quick because I've already told this story over on the group, but bottom line, I asked her for a certification. She got very offended. Later on, okay, so I'm not going to go into everything that happened in the IEP, but bottom line, we scheduled another appointment, an IEP, to meet because the director of special education kept going in circles about intervention. And we went back and forth on, he was saying direct instruction could be, which it can, up to 3, 4, 5 kids, small direct instruction, group instruction. And I said, that's not what I mean here. We're talking about a child who's 5 years behind. He's not at that point of group. He's got to learn everything from the basics and his, less than so many vocabulary words before he even steps foot in a group. And I said, according to the science of reading, he should have 90 minutes of direct intervention every single day, along with 30 minutes of group. So group is on the side. 90 minutes of direct instruction intervention is provided daily. And then he all of a sudden goes, oh, well, we have certified Orton Gillingham. And I said, such as Orton Gillingham. And as someone certified. And he said, well, oh, we have someone in our school system that is certified in Orton Gillingham. I said, oh, that's awesome. So why didn't you say that like 2 hours ago? And then he said, well, she does, groups and this and that and the other. And I said, okay, great. What is it going to look like? What is the intervention going to look like? What is the intervention going to look like? What is the intervention? I said this 50 million times. He wouldn't tell me what it was going to look like. He kept saying, oh, we have this person and we have this person. What is it going to look like? Then instead of, why'd you bring this Orton Gillingham person up when you're reverting back to the teacher now and saying, oh, well, she has, 20 years or whatever it was of direct instruction certification. So I asked for her certification. But here's the thing. I don't care if you have 20 years of direct instruction. What does that got to do with reading intervention? Do you have 20 years of direct instruction and reading intervention? Or do you just have 20 years of one-to-one, which is direct instruction, or small group instruction, one-to-one? All right, there's a difference. I know the difference. I guess you think I don't, but I do. So then the teacher got defensive when I asked for a certification. Okay, IEP meeting over, we schedule another one, okay? Because what it was is they wanted to schedule another one because they were pushed against a wall. They knew I was not backing off. They knew I was not budging. When I emailed them asking for an IEE because the results of the evaluation of this child, okay, showed how he was 5 years behind. And it also showed how his written expression was low average to average, but his reading was extremely low. His math was extremely low. Plus, he has working memory issues. So that's a psychological evaluation, psychoeducational evaluation that is not able to happen, okay? Your child cannot score low average to average in written expression and the lowest of low on reading comprehension. It is not possible. It is not physically possible. The psychologist even said, I told her that. I said, that's not possible. What happened here? And she proceeded to say, yeah, I've never seen a situation where, if a child can't comprehend, how the hell are they going to write out and express how they feel? Come on now. And so she said, yeah, I've never seen that before, but it happened. I said, yeah, okay. We need to get an IEE. So I later put in for an IEE because the parents were like, if this can't happen, then, and she even said it didn't happen and agreed with you, what the hell's going on here, And so then an hour after I sent in this email asking for the IEE, I get this email from the director of special education who says, hey, here is Miss Hill's certification. So I pull it up and I looked at it because it was sideways, and I was like, what? It literally said the National Institute for Direct Instruction, and it said certificate. There's a big difference between a certificate and a certification. So I email and message on Facebook the Institute for Direct Instruction. And I said, hey, you have a teacher that's saying that, you know, she had certification by you guys, and then she proceeds to provide me with a certificate. Do you guys give certifications, or what is this certificate? It says direct instruction. When I looked up on your website, the direct instruction, it's a 6-hour class. She's trying to do reading intervention with a child. Can you explain this to me? And I got a response back saying, we absolutely do not certify in any way, shape, or form. We have classes that we provide, and the certificate was a certificate of attendance. Oh yeah, that's what it says. I have it in writing. So this director of special education sent me an email. In the typing area, he said, here is Miss Hill's certification. What do I get? Certificate. I email who gave that certificate, and they said that certificate is a certificate of attendance. That's what happened. No joke. All right. So bottom line, you need data. All right. You need data. You have to have data. Data. All right. The data for this child is 5 years behind. He ain't making progress. All right. So whatever it is you're doing ain't working. We got to change it. Whatever it is that your school system's doing isn't working. I don't care what you want to now provide. You should have come up with that years ago. Okay? So don't try to play like you're going to fix it now and then give us a teacher that wants to provide a certificate and state that it's a certification. Not happening at all. So what I'm saying about me is I don't let up. I go after what is needed, what's appropriate for that child, and I don't let up. I'm like a darn vulture, all right? And especially if I know I'm being bullshitted, all right? If I have teachers and service providers and, you know, the coordinators and directors of special education working with me, and we're all collaborating like adults, then I love it. Love it, all right? And they come together. They never did it with a parent, but all of a sudden I show up and they decide to do it. Okay, who cares? I showed up and they do it. I'm going to play that role as the mediator to bring them in. Let's fix this. But if you're going to try to play games with me, then we're going to have a problem. Because I've been there, I've done that, I've seen the situations. You're not going to get a whole lot past me. All right? And so when I emailed this director of special education back, I was a total smartass in my response back because I was so pissed off that he falsified what things were. I mean, I was just disgusted. So then I said, don't you dare come back to an IEP meeting without anything less than what is going to happen and how this child is getting intervention. Don't waste our time. So that's how that went. So you are no different than me. You just have to be that royal pain in the ass, and don't ever give up. Keep pushing. If they say something, don't accept things at face value. Keep questioning. Keep asking. Okay? Until you feel 150% sure and secure that that's the right thing. That is what's happening. Like in your gut. You know what I mean? All right. So other than weekly data, graphical form. All right. And you know, even in your IEP, you can ask for graphical form. All right. And if they don't know how to do it, tell them to learn. All right. So number 11 is a clear de-escalation plan of action for the negative behaviors, which we talked about earlier. So you have to have a plan of action if things go awry. They're unable to be fixed with breaks and positive reinforcement. And they're unable to be fixed with continuing to push the replacement behavior, and things continue to escalate, that child's getting physically abusive to himself, to others, whatever, then a very structured replacement strategy, okay, which is a de-escalation plan, but it's a replacement strategy for positive reinforcement and the replacement behaviors. All right, so it's a plan of action basically put into place to fix what's going on. All right, that is more rigorous, that is more structured, that is, more strict, and that's what goes into play. Now, let's talk a little bit about restraints. Okay, so there's some schools now, I know there's some in California, that can't restrain anymore. They actually can't touch your child like that. There's some schools who do restrain, and that's fine. All right, I'm not saying I'm for or against. I'm just saying that's fine, that it's allowed. Because there is times where that's a good thing. So don't think of it as a bad thing. If you trust who's doing it, if who's doing it is trained. So, as a parent, you actually have the right, and you need to put this in writing, email the whole team, including the director of special education, email the superintendent, and say, this is what I approve of and what I don't approve of in regards to restraints and with my child, and name your child. All right? If you completely disagree, then state you disagree with any type of restraint in regard to your child. Here's just my 2 cents. Take it or leave it. If your child is harmed, all right, because of their behavior, and they harmed themselves, or they harmed someone else severely, another child, a teacher, etc., you're not going to feel too good about that. All right? Even if it was harming you at home. All right? You don't deserve that. Kids don't deserve that. They don't deserve that to harm themselves, and teachers don't deserve that. So, what I suggest to people is pick a restraint or two that you feel comfortable with. Okay? So, that could be a vest. Guess what? That's not going to hurt them. It's not going to hurt anybody else. And it's sure as hell not going to put marks on them. Now, some children will never forget that. It'll just make them lose their mind because they can't move or whatever. So in some situations, that's a bad thing. In some situations where it's not going to emotionally screw them up, it's just like you or I, we don't like to be restrained, so we're going to lose our mind just because we're restrained. So figure out what the truth is. Are they going to lose their mind and never forget it and it's going to affect them forever? Or is it just going to piss them off because they can't move? If it's just going to piss them off, do it. Because then they can't hurt themselves, then they can't hurt others, then they can't hurt the teachers, other kids, etc. And you can then say, and then I'll come pick my child up. And I'm just giving you an example. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving examples because your kid can't hurt other kids. Your kid shouldn't hurt themselves. Your kid can't hurt other teachers. They're not there for that. The teachers and staff are there to protect all children. Okay? So there has to be some sort of resolve. And I'm talking about this because it's not I'm for one or the other. I'm not. What I'm trying to tell you is we have to figure it out together because there has to be a solution and you have to be open to the solution. All right? Even if you don't like it. So, because at the end of the day, teachers don't have to put up with being hit or anything like that. Neither do other children. Their parents sure as heck aren't going to put up with it. And it's not something that you can just say, well, my child has disabilities, so they can hit others, and that's just that. You can't say that, guys. All right? So that's why it's so important that you stay on top of the BIP, that you know that it's being implemented, that you know it's written right, that you know how it should be written to a T, and that you know exactly who should be implementing what, how, and when is it they're doing it. I don't care if they're in PE class or music. That music teacher and PE teacher better be implementing it. And if they can't, then your child needs a one-on-one. You got me? So if your child has a BIP and it's not working, figure out what it is. Don't let it go. Do they need a one-on-one? Is it not? Oh, let me tell you something. All right, here's a situation that just really takes the cake for me. All right, so I have a student who, in their IEP, they had a one-on-one removed. And this is what it says. It says one-on-one removed because the one-on-one no longer could affect the student being off task, could not control whether the student was on task or not. Now think about that for a second. All right, just think about it. All right, I haven't lost my mind here. So, okay, so we have a one-on-one. We have a student who's off task all the time. So the student was given a one-on-one, obviously, for a reason. So if the student was given a one-on-one because they're always off task and probably doing things that are, it didn't say this right in that spot, but doing things that they shouldn't be doing, you know, then why is it that because the one-on-one couldn't change the behavior and affect, that's what it said, couldn't change or affect, couldn't change or affect the behavior, why is it the one-on-one was removed from the kid's total IEP? No, I don't think so. What should have happened is that one-on-one sure as hell should have been removed, but another one should have been put in its place. You don't remove something that's needed because, oh, it didn't work. This one couldn't do it, so that's it. We're giving up. I'm speechless. I don't think so. How it works is if the child needs it, they need it. So if you don't have the staff that can provide what's needed and they can't do it, then you replace that staff member and you put someone else in place who can do it. It's as simple as that. You don't remove a service for a child because the staff couldn't get it under control. Here's another situation I've seen where the staff member couldn't keep up with the student. This child escaped not with work, with he would run. The staff member couldn't keep up with the student, and so it was said that it wasn't working, that the staff couldn't keep up. Well, here's the thing, is you have to provide what's needed and appropriate for the children. Thank God it's not my job to figure out what it is you have to do that. That's the district's job. Wouldn't want that job. But bottom line, you cannot remove a service or an accommodation that is needed but isn't working because of how you're doing it. That's always typically the problem. Okay? And that's the truth. Okay? Same with reading instruction. Why is my child at Linda Mood Bell? Because she didn't learn a damn thing with the reading instructor for years. Years! Why? This is someone who's qualified to teach reading. Why did she not make progress? The school wanted to say, oh, well, she can't learn anymore. She can't make any more progress. She's at her cap. Bullshit. The hell she was. And let me tell you something. It's unheard of for kids to really go in the upper direction in a large way in their IQ. This guy went up 20 points in 2 years. What do you mean my child's capped off? And who are you to tell me, oh yeah, I got mad, that my child can't learn? Like, where's the qualifications that you have to tell me that my child can't learn anymore? Like, I literally said, who the hell are you? And here's the funny thing. And this is what you need to realize as well. And I always talk about this. Your gut means everything. 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 Grandmothers, mothers, even fathers, not so much, no offense, but mothers, women, let's just say women, all right? have that gut feeling right here under our boobs, all right? It's like that gut feeling, all right? That we feel, we just know. It makes us, our brains say, is that true? You know? Where we start questioning something in our brain and then we're like, nah, some of us don't listen to it for a moment. Go with that. So anyway, as you guys, I'm sure, have heard me say, long story short, requested due process. They didn't want to go to due process with me. So we settled in mediation. And Skylar has been at Linda Mood Bell. In a 5-month period since she was there, she went up 1 year in grade level. 1 year in 5 months. All right? So don't tell me that my child can't learn. Don't ever let someone tell you that. I don't care how your child is. I don't care how their deficit is. I don't care. Because even if their progress isn't in one area, that doesn't mean they can't make progress. All right? You got to look at the whole overall picture of life. All right? So don't tell me that our kids can't make progress. Because that's just, you don't even know what I got to say about that. Plus, no school personnel has the right to tell you what your child can and cannot learn. Because honestly, none of us know. And if we don't know, we do our very best to get them where they need to be. And we keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it again. And with the right teaching, I'm going to go back to my favorite word, how it's taught. All right, guys, let me tell you. Here's just an example for you and me. And then I'm going to sum this up, okay? Do you remember when you were in school, guys, and you'd have good teachers, you'd have really sucky teachers, and that's just how it was, right? And the good teachers, what happened? We loved the class. We liked the class. Even if it was our worst class, we liked it because we liked Miss or Mr. So-and-so. You know? Where if it was a horrible teacher, what did we do? Shit, I skipped. All right? In high school, I would skip that class. I mean, I skipped the class that I hated so much that they finally called my mom and said she's not going to graduate with honors if she keeps skipping this class. Yeah, that's what I did. I was bad. So, bottom line, we all react by the how. The how is so important when it comes to education. Okay? Because guess what? How your child learns, you know how I said all kids can make progress? All can. The idea doesn't just state that. I know that. And so the thing is it's not about that your child can or can't learn because they can, or my child can or can't learn because she can. It's about how they're taught. And how your child learns is probably going to be way different than my child learns, the way my child learns. Okay? So that's where creativeness and thinking outside of the box and everything else comes into play. And if that means that you smarties get to tell the teachers and tell the staff all the different ideas that you have, then so be it. Do what you got to do. But you need to make sure that how your child is taught is the focus. And how the present levels are written is the focus. And then if your present levels are focused and accurate and on point, then guess what? Your services, your accommodations, your modifications, and goals all come from the present levels. So, wrapping it up, for those of you who are just joining or joined 10 minutes ago, post a 1 below. This is your first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. And real quick, I will post my course again because I've had some messages come in. I am doing a mastermind. So I'm going to explain that. I'm going to post the link really quick for you. All right, I'm posting it now. There's the link. All right, I just posted the link for the 1-day intensive mastermind. It's literally going to be 4 days that I'm offering. You get to pick 1 of 4 days that you actually have to commit to, and you have to be open to giving that day to learning about where the present levels come from, why they're so important, how to write them yourself, and really the structure in which they should be written so it's clear and concise. Then I'm going to teach you how to take what's in it that's on point and accurate, or if not, you're going to know how to do it once they are accurate, because I'm going to tell you how. And you're going to create all the services, all the accommodations, all the modifications, and all the appropriate goals for your child. Appropriate goals, what are that? So I'm going to teach you how to write SMART goals, all right? Not just goals that are pulled from wherever, all right? You're going to learn how to write SMART goals based off of the goals that should be in your present levels. That's where they should come from. I mean, if you don't have the right present levels, you're not going to have the right goals, services, or accommodations. And what I mean by that is your child may get 2 times a week speech and 1 time a week OT, and that may be sufficient to you, and that's what they need or you think they need. But in all actuality, if they had the right present levels, they may need 3 times a week speech and 3 times a week occupational therapy. And guess what? A lot of kids that I see need music therapy and or dance therapy that are not getting it. Because that teaches a lot of things that are associated with OT and can create a lot of language. Okay? So if you're interested, check it out. PM me if you have any questions. I'm really excited about it. I only have 20 some spots left now. I had 32 2 days ago, 1 day ago, something like that. Yesterday. And then I now have 20 something spots left. So 4 spots, 4 days to choose from, 1 day you have to commit to, and I promise you, and you get me, it's a 1 to 12, 1 to 15 adult ratio. I won't call you students. And it's with me, and we're going to really dive deep. All right. That's why I'm doing small groups. All right. And after February, after these 4 classes, it's going to be at my normal rate. But for these 4 classes, it's $200 off. So, and you can make payment arrangements, just FYI. So jump on it, grab it, okay? Because they are going fast. But in all honesty, it's worth it. All right? It's going to be worth it because you're going to leave there also having all your questions answered. That's why, again, I'm doing a small group, very small group actually, because I want you guys to be able to ask all the questions that you need so that you leave with that confidence, that, okay, I got this, and if you have questions, you're going to know how to contact me, not from Facebook. Okay. So you're going to be able to have some support, I'm not going to be at your beck and call, but I'm going to be there and I'm going to give you support. So you're going to leave knowing like, okay, I got this. And if I have questions, I got Raven, and anybody you ask will tell you that I get back to them. And so I think it'll be a good thing for you. All right. If you're that person who wants to have an IEP that is 100% accurate. And if the present levels aren't right, which I've yet to see an IEP so far that has it written how it should be. Now I'm getting them there. But by working with you guys, I'm getting them there. You guys are getting your IEPs straight. But, man, it's crazy how they're just not written right. It's unfortunate. I had a teacher reach out to me the other day. Really nice lady. And she said she was a first-year teacher. And, she was asking for advice and some help in reference to a student with severe disabilities. And the diagnostician wanted to put the student on, like, the regular diploma track, assessment track, statewide assessments, where the teacher was saying there's no way, that's not possible, setting the child up for failure. So we had a discussion about that. But it just goes to show that this isn't just for parents, it's for teachers too. She actually signed up for the course, and I just thought it was great because, teachers want to learn too. I have teachers that I work with one-on-one a lot, and I think it's pretty awesome, that they want to learn more and that they know that certain things are being said within their school district, so forth, that isn't 100% accurate, and they're wanting to do things differently. And I think that's great. So, to all the teachers, cheers, who are amazing and wanting to make the change and not so stressful for the parents. And, one of the things I told her to do too is I said, procedural safeguards aren't really all you're supposed to give parents. I said, why don't you sit down with those parents and tell them their options so that they know what they can choose, because the parents don't want their child on the state assessment plan and the graduation plan and the diploma track. They can take them right off. So the diagnostician can take her opinion and put it somewhere if the parents disagree. Because who puts a child on a diploma track that is nowhere near grade level? That's crazy. All right, guys, I'm done for the day. It's been what, an hour and a half? I've talked a lot today. Okay, so have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Let me look at some questions here. All right. Goodness gracious, we got a lot. Okay. So I think I said hi to all y'all. So Aaron and Irene and Missy, hello. I don't even know if you guys are still on here. And then we have, gosh, I already said Kristen and Lorena and Jessica and Wendy. Hi, guys. And Nicole, you're welcome. I hope to see you in the course, Nicole. It'd be exciting. All right, Fatima, do you go to IEPs? I sure do. A lot. Too much. No, I go to them all the time. Tomorrow I'm in a mediation. I'm in a lot of mediations. And yes, I go to a ton of IEPs. And so the answer to your question, Fatima, is yes. We have Julie and who else? Michelle. You don't know unless you are strictly following the IEP and asking specific questions, and you know the info you should hear. That's right. 100%. We have Faye on here, and then Hannah says, my son has an IEP, had an IEP for a while. He went to an amazing school, had to switch to a different school. I had all the records transferred. I am a para at a different school. I know what the rules are. I know what goes on in special ed. These fools didn't know until 2 months in that he had an IEP, and they tried to suspend him twice for something they would have known to handle if they had read his IEP. Yeah. That happens all the time. Sorry to say. So Hannah says, I always tell my people I can't trust others to handle things if you don't handle them yourself. You have to be just as involved as the teachers and your kids. Yep. I always say even more involved. Okay? Because no one's going to care about the well-being and the education of your child more than you. Hi, Erin. How are you? Then we have Dana says, so dumb question. If hitting is an additional behavior, can we use a rubber mallet pounding in pegs or too similar to hitting? What? I don't even understand what that means. I don't know what to say to that. Nikki says, maybe I'm misunderstanding. I don't know. My son is on this autism, or Wendy says, my son's on the autism spectrum and is 3, and special ed refused to give him a pacifier to ease his tantrums. They can't do that, I don't think. I'm not sure. That's the little ones. I more handle when they're in kindergarten. I don't know, you know, like I know a lot of kids in speech, they get those mouth things and the chewies, but then with the same thing with the pacifiers, it's kind of like, especially right now with COVID, it's kind of a germ thing. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about that one. I would find out the rules and regulations on it, and if they say no, I'd find out what they have in writing that is leading to their no, because they can't just say no because they feel like saying no. So, Nikki says, does every child get a BIP who has an IEP? No. Or is this something that is put in place based on behavior? Put in place based on behavior. Shammy says, I think also ask if other kids in class got sick. I've never seen a lot of behaviors increase in my nonverbal kid, only to figure out later that she had a sore throat. I wish the teachers' school were required to tell us when colds, flu were going around. They're supposed to, when the flu goes around, I believe they're supposed to send like a letter to all children, parents. So that's almost exciting what our elementary school system did to us. Exactly what our elementary school did to us. Didn't want to do the work for my son and just wanted to just push him through the system. The principal does not believe in putting kids at their levels because they don't think it's not pushing them. What do you mean putting them at their levels, Jessica? Oh, I know what you're saying. You're saying putting them at their level where they're at versus grade level. Okay, I got you. Hey Jess, how are you? Aaron says, I'm a dad, no one messes with my son. That's good. If they aren't learning the way you are teaching, teach the way they are learning. That's right. We have Tony on here, and everybody's on here. Hi, Lori. How are you? You're welcome for the advice, Wendy. That's what I'm here for. Yes, grade level. Okay. How do you feel about asking to have a child switched out of their teacher's class who isn't helping your child? I feel like you should ask that. I have asked, and they said it wouldn't be good for him, but he hates her with passion. It's not a good fit, then that's what you need to fight. I don't care what they said. You need to fight based on what you know. And if there's some sort of reaction as to he hates her, back up, he hates her. All right, to get it done. All right. You were asking the same question about BIP. Hold on, let me go back up to your question. Oh, for, what do you mean, putting them at the same level as for a BIP, Jessica? Is that what you meant? All right, guys. PM me if you have any questions. Okay, I am here. Tonight I will be reviewing documents. Your documents, Lori. And see, I got them, Lori. See? Yeah, I'm old school, guys. I have to print stuff out because I'm a highlighting person. You guys know that. I highlight everything. All right? So, I'm very finicky about my clients' paperwork because I like to make sure that everything's written right. And this is a prior written notice. This is a IEP and a BIP. And reviewing stuff online sometimes, like I'll do that in a 4-hour IEP makeover, but then a lot of times, like right before that IEP meeting, I'll print it out because I gotta highlight it and I'm able to see like a lot of things in detail. That is better, if that makes sense. It's just more, it just gives me the availability to write on things. And and really go through it with a fine-tooth comb and be able, now this IEP that I'm going to be going over better be on point because this is an IEP that, but I'm looking at it right now, Lori, and the present levels are too short. So I don't know what to say now. You want me to give you guys an example? This is why I'm doing the course I'm doing. All right, so Lori, I'm not going to give you information. I'm just going to show them really quick. But I know you don't mind. Okay, so we have the first page, you know how that is. That's your child's information in regards to name, address, disability, so forth. All right. So on page 2, 3, and 4, and 5 are the evaluations and results, and then present levels. The present level focus, because page 2 and 3 are not really the focus, page 3 and 4 and 5 are. So you're telling me that you're writing a child that's in middle school, their present levels, their strengths. This is how big their strengths are. Okay. Oh yeah, it's that sad. I can tell you now I'm not happy, Lori. That's how little the strengths are. That's it. Area of need. Let's see. Oh, that's the next paragraph. How lovely of them. Look at that. Gosh, aren't they awesome? They wrote me a whole 1, 2, 6 sentences. Whoa! Wow! Okay, maybe it's 8. Maybe it's 8. Here we go. Seriously? Oh yeah. Oh, it's gonna be a long night. But that's what I do, guys. You know, just to give you some insight. You know, going over these darn things that irritate the hell out of me. Because, you know, this is a school system that we went at it. This was a 4.5-hour IEP meeting. Tell them, Lori. She's on here. Mom's on here. 4.5-hour IEP meeting. 3 meetings down. And all I get is a paragraph. Let me check out the goals real quick. Let's see. Please, God, help them be good. Because I wrote the goals, so they better be put in here. Oh, God. Let's see. Now I'm nervous. Let's see. Nope. Shit. Damn. Yeah, you can see my disappointment, guys. Go ahead. Let me just give you one of these piece of shit goals, because this is how much it pisses me off. All right? This is what it says. By 4/15/2021, the student will, while, can't even grammatically write it right, reading on a second grade level, middle school child, decode words in 8 out of 10 trials at 80% accuracy. How's it measured? No clue. Let's see the next one. By 4/15/2021, the child will write to describe, inform, entertain, explain, and persuade by writing a clear topic sentence focusing on the main idea and supporting sentences. How is it measured? Unreal. All right, so I got my work cut out for me tonight, guys. So, I will talk to you guys soon, okay? PM me if you need anything. And grab the course. All right? You'll get one-on-one time with me. You know you want to do that. And you'll also leave there knowing exactly what these present levels and goals should look like, how they're developed, where they come from, and have a huge understanding of how these things should be written. This is a school system in my state. I don't even work in my state as much as I used to. I'm all over the U.S. Again, I'm at 42 states now. It used to be 39, remember, guys? Now it's 42. I'm almost hitting my 50 mark. And this is my state. And the shit goals that come is unfreaking real. Present levels, they're non-existent. If you don't have present levels, how the hell are you going to write the IEP? How? You have to have a baseline. You have to know their strengths, their weaknesses. And guess what? Goals, accommodations, modifications, and services all come from the weaknesses. Why isn't it in the IEPs? It should be a freaking book. You should have present levels that are up to 8, 9 pages. If your child is older, like 4th, 5th, 6th grade on, it should not be a tiny paragraph of present levels. What the hell are you going to pull out of that? That's crazy. Sorry, guys, but it just bothers me. All right, here we go. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow or the next day, I promise. Tomorrow or the next day, you'll hear from me. But the one you won't hear from me is where I'm going to be over on the group doing my Q&A. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do my Q&A over on the group tomorrow or if I'm going to do it Wednesday. I will let you guys know in the morning and let you guys know. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I will talk to you guys soon. Have a wonderful evening, guys.